Hi everybody, I'm Advocate Sanya Arora practicing on the civil side in Delhi NCR, and today I'm making this video to discuss some of the conventional and non-conventional career paths with you after you've done your law. So let's begin. We all know some of the conventional career paths, and I'm going to talk about litigation with you a little bit since I'm already litigating. But I'm also going to give you some thought starters to look at some non conventional career paths as well, if your interest lies there, because what was up until now not really possible and not explored and not researched about is becoming very, very trending, very, very in demand because of the coronial times that we are living in. So it's worth a shot. If you think that once you graduated, all you can do is either go to the court or join a corporate law firm in order to understand just exactly how you're going to go about practicing law, then that's not it. There are other things that you can do as well, and we're going to talk about that. Now, as you can see on your screens, Constance Baker Motley said, I never thought I would live long enough to see the legal profession change to the extent it has. And yes, it has changed a lot. So what will we talk about? We will talk about litigation as a career prospect, which is a very, very conventional career path. We will talk about being a legal instructor or a course developer, which is an up and coming career prospect, not very conventional but not very non-conventional either. And then I will give you a couple of options as unconventional legal career options for you to think about, for you to explore, for you to decide if your interest lies there. What will we not talk about? We will not talk about job guarantees because there is no guarantee for anything in life. We will not talk about salaries because they differ from industry to industry, organization to organization, from candidate to candidate. So there's no way to generalize this. And we will not talk about the best career path because let's face it, there isn't any best career path. It's what you make of it. You can do something right now for another 5 years and then decide to change your line altogether to get into something else. It's entirely on you. It's entirely on how you're experimenting, discovering yourself. You're constantly changing. You're allowed to change the things that you want to do with your life as well, as long as you are following your heart, your head, your purpose, your mission. So let's talk about litigation first. The most obvious choice, the most obvious thing you can do after you graduate, which is about case files, court visits, and consultancy. And that's putting it very, very mildly. That's actually downplaying it. That is completely an oversimplification of what litigation is. But for the purposes of this video, this is what you can understand of litigation. You wear your black coat, white shirt, white collar band, black pants, and go to the court. So after graduation, you absolutely do need bar council enrollment in order to be able to practice law. That's how you get your certificate of practice, and that is the difference between a lawyer and an advocate. An advocate has his or her certificate of practice. Now, Bar Council of India conducts AIBE, which is All India Bar Examination, twice a year. And it's not rocket science. It's an open book exam, not that easy and not that difficult either. But majority of law students do pass them with flying colors. You don't even get to know the scores, but you get to know whether you've passed or failed. And that is how you get your bar enrollment ID, and you also get your certificate of practice. Before that, while you're still appearing and after you've graduated, you get a provisional bar enrollment ID. You have to reach out to your local bar councils, your state bar council where you want to be registered eventually, and figure out what documents they need and what will be the procedure for you to apply for your provisional ID before you get the permanent one. Now, after you've received your provisional ID or you've cleared your bar exam, you can join a law chamber, a law firm, or independent practice. Now, there is no one way to go about it. Earlier, it used to be sort of a mandate to be working under somebody for say about 5 years, 6 years, 7 years in order to gain enough exposure and experience to go at it on your own. But these days, given the technology, given the access, given the street smartness of the young law students and the young lawyers that are coming up, It's not that difficult for you to establish your own self. And I say this to everybody, that once you're an advocate, you're a professional, you're a legal professional, you can practice law. You don't really need to be employed or to be working under somebody or to have a job in order to fend for yourself. But yes, it is always advisable, it is always recommended to find a law chamber or a law firm or an independent practice where you know what are the kinds of cases that they are dealing with, and you are interested in those kinds of cases or that kind of practice. And then you learn more and you gain more experience, more exposure, and you learn the ropes from your seniors. Now, in my personal opinion, if you join a small law office or an independent practitioner, it is better because it gives you more exposure, it gives you a free hand to be able to deal with a case end to end. You will be drafting, you'll also be appearing, you'll also be sitting in on client conferences, and you get a lot more freedom to practice law on your own when you're working with a small law firm or a law chamber or an independent practice. But you can also obviously join the big one, the tier 1, tier 2 law firms, if your interest lies there and if you think that is something you want to do. Once you've worked for a little while, it is my humble suggestion to you that you identify your practice area. It's always better to carve your niche and build your expertise in one area of practice rather than doing it all, because we all know jack of all trades, right? And since lawyers are not even allowed to market themselves because of bar council regulations, so you have to figure out different ways to carve your niche and establish your domain, your area. So if any issue in that area arises, you are you're recommended, or people think of you and come to you for those kinds of cases. So you have to know, you have to be very creative in how you choose to market yourself. You can have your own website, you can have your own blog page. The easiest way to go about it is by building your LinkedIn profile, connecting with like-minded people or people you want to learn from, posting your own articles, publishing your own self, creating videos on different legal topics, legal updates, and sharing your opinions and asking for constructive feedback from people that you want to learn from. So use your digital presence and build your digital presence as early as possible. And then, of course, keep practicing, keep studying. Whenever you enter the practice of law, you're always going to be a practicing lawyer, because the laws are so dynamic, they keep changing, and you have to have that growth mindset and the ability to keep learning and unlearning everything and then relearning everything that you forgot, basis on what is required at the moment for your case at hand. So you have to be flexible like that. Lawyers as big as Harish Salve sir or Kapil Sibal sir or Rebecca John ma'am, even they are known as practicing lawyers. Nobody claims to have mastered the law. Then another area that you can look at as a career prospect, and which is very, very lucrative these days, that the edtech companies are growing, they're booming, and there's a lot of need for access to quality legal education to bridge the gap between the practice and the theory of law. And that is why, if from your own experiences you're able to translate them into some modules that are based on a course structure that you've prepared after identifying a practically relevant subject, then you have to research and write and make sure that the material that you're creating is engaging enough to simplify complex legal issues and problems to somebody who knows nothing about it, to help them deal with a problem better than you did when you just started out, basis your experiences and your learnings. And then, of course, you also need to know how to deliver lectures. You need to know how to record videos, how to develop video content, how to write the script for your videos, how to really be able to engage with people who want to learn from you. How to conduct live sessions is also something that you will be required to know if you want to become a legal instructor or a course developer with one of the upcoming or booming e-learning companies in our country or even abroad, who knows. Then let's now talk about some plans, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E. There are n number of things that you can do other than the conventional career paths that you may take after you graduate. What are they? I'm just giving you some thought starters, okay? This is not something that has been explored enough. This is not something that has been researched enough. There is not enough data on these career prospects. But if your interest lies, then why not? Create your own path, create your own processes, create your own domain. Who's stopping you, right? So what can be your plan B? You can become a legal content writer if you're really, really good at writing, if you really enjoy creating content for legal websites, for their social media channels, because we all know how important it is to have a digital presence in order to reach people who may need you. And to do that as lawyers, it's very important to be putting out your knowledge, to be putting out what you know, what you don't know, how much your expertise is valuable to the client that you may have in a particular area of practice. So you have to be able to write very, very well, and you can become a legal content writer for these law firms eventually. You can also become a legal journalist if journalism is something that interests you. It doesn't require you to have an additional degree in journalism or a diploma, but it certainly does help because it tells you the ABCs of journalism. And if you're also a lawyer, then you can understand the concepts much better than a layperson would. So you can work for legal news websites such as Bar and Bench, Live Law, India Legal, and that is also extremely, extremely exciting. You can also become a legal recruiter. Now, a legal recruiter is somebody who knows how to solve the puzzle and match the right candidate with the right job. And when it comes to the jobs that pertain to lawyers or advocates, it's very difficult because a lot of the times there are no fixed JDs or job descriptions. So if you're a lawyer, you're able to understand the mindset of the lawyers that are reaching out to hire people and the lawyers that are looking for jobs. And that is how this has also become a whole different area of expertise altogether. Lawyers are creating companies where they're actually specifically just dealing in legal recruitment. You can look at avimukta.com, bahura.com, Legalist Legal Recruitment in order to learn a little bit more about this domain. Plan E could be legal business consultant. If your interest lies in business development and you have a lot of ideas to scale businesses and small startups, but you don't want to go into corporate sector altogether, if you've done law and you also have the bent of mind of a business manager, you can help companies with their legal compliance, with their intellectual property rights, with their knowledge management, contracts, processes, taxes, audits, as well as help them scale their business. And that's how you can become a legal business consultant. You can definitely look at that as well. Then you can also become a legal trainer. So there are some firms, big firms, that actually focus on continuing legal education for their new recruits or the new joinees to make sure that they're able to extract maximum productivity out of them and to train them in a way that they would require them to work to grow the business of the firm. So you can become a legal trainer for such firms at these programs that they may run, or you can also join an edtech company like we just discussed if you're a legal trainer. Now there are a lot of companies, actually every company has to comply with POSH regulations, right? So POSH is prevention of sexual harassment, and according to the act you have to have an internal complaints committee. But a lot of companies, a lot of the startups or other business entities do not really know how to go about it. They don't know the procedure, they don't know what the ICC members are supposed to do, how they're supposed to comply with their annual reports. So you can also train them in that regard by becoming a legal trainer. You can also become a consultant for them on POSH matters or any other specific matter as a freelancer, as an external counsel. You can become a labor relations manager as well. Now, a labor relations manager is essentially a lawyer that becomes the point of contact between the employer and the employee. So the job mainly revolves around drafting company policies, employment contracts, dispute resolution, termination letters, supporting the HR, making sure everything's running smoothly and there's no conflict there. And if you're able to consult them, if you're able to advise them properly and you're able to manage this properly, then you save the company a lot of heartache, a lot of trouble, a lot of litigation, a lot of time, money, energy. Then, of course, you can also become a legal designer. Legal design is something that's still very, very raw, very new, and a lot of people don't really know the value of design in transferring or transmitting knowledge, in exhibiting a particular thing that you're trying to convey to them. And the legal system, the laws, the contracts, all the things that govern everybody essentially, they are sometimes so complicated that nobody can really make sense of it other than a lawyer. So the legal designers, they help with visual representation of law, with things like visual digital contracts, or creating modules, legal modules that are engaging, that can help a layperson understand the law better. And design theory plays a very major role in this. You can look at legal design arc or justice adda to learn more about this. You can also become a litigation support professional. So these big law firms have countless cases, and they have to maintain and prepare a lot of databases to stay on top of everything. So a litigation support professional helps them in building and maintaining databases, document review, retrieving records, maintaining trial presentations, etc. Then, of course, you can be a freelancer. Like I said, an advocate is a professional, right? So they can work for themselves without really having been employed. And you can be on legal panels for various companies. You can get into legal consultancy. You can get into contract drafting, reviewing and negotiating contracts. You can help in trademarks filing. You can help in legal content writing. So essentially everything that we discussed till now, you can do everything as a freelancer, depending on how much time you want to devote to what, or where your interest lies. So this is also a very interesting thing to do. Then one thing that I would recommend for all of you to make a priority is pro bono, to give back. At the end of the day, law is a noble profession, and what lawyers do, what advocates do, is something that can help society to the best of their abilities, and they can also change the world for the better. So whatever you earn, however you do whatever you want to do, try to make it a priority to give back to the society by providing pro bono legal services to people who need those services but are not able to pay and cannot even rely on the state or the center or other government authorities. You as a person, as a lawyer, as an advocate, consider it to be your duty to give back. Then, progress bar. Take chances, try new things, track your progress. And your progress has to be tracked throughout your lifetime. Law school is a very small part of the entire life that you have, where you have to keep learning, keep growing, keep tracking your progress. One thing that I suggest to you, in order to identify what you like, what you don't like, where you want to apply, where you don't want to apply. So you can conduct a SWOT analysis on the firm or the independent practitioner or the company or wherever you're applying or wherever you're going to engage in business with. And you can do a SWOT analysis based on their strength, their weakness, what the opportunity is for you exactly, and what are the threats. You can do this for your own self as well when you're trying to identify what you are good at, what you're not good at. So do a SWOT analysis on yourself, your strength, your weaknesses, your opportunity, your threats, and then work on them, and then collaborate with other people to work with. Do your homework. Then what you should do. Some do's and don'ts, actually just one do and one don't right now when you apply for jobs. Make your CV very concise, maximum 2 pages, please. And please don't send a blank mail. It gives a very bad impression to the person that you're writing to. Please add a cover letter. So thank you so much everybody for listening till now. You can ask your questions in the comment section, and I really hope that this helped. Keep the hustle on, and feel free to reach out to me in case of any queries that you may have, and anything I can help you out with, I'll be more than happy to do that. All the very best. Keep experimenting.